Hey guys, and welcome back to Jessen Reads Romance. I'm Jessen, and today we're going to be going through all the books that I read in September. Also, you may have noticed I got some new glasses. I don't know how I like them. They kind of like blend in with my face. They're like really pink. I'm gonna get close to the camera. I'm sorry, but yeah, I don't know. I'm so used to wearing like really dark glasses on my face. It's very strange to see something very light colored blending in with my face. But you're gonna get these glasses for this video at least. So I read 16 books this past September. Not bad, not amazing. I've read more books in a month. It's like I'm in a competition with myself, but it was fine. It was fine. I read some really great books, and I'm actually thinking about doing top favorite reads for the month first and then move on to the ones that I didn't like so much or were a little disappointed with. So let's gush about the really great books that I read, and then I can rant about the books that I don't like later in the video. So the only full 5-star read that I read this month was actually the last book that I read for September. It was Price of a Kiss by Kage. I read it for the Kindle Clear Out Readathon, which if you haven't watched that video, I'll link it up here. And I love The Price of a Kiss. It was so good. The heroine, Reese, is running from her boyfriend who's like abusive. She switches colleges and goes live with her aunt and uncle. She meets this guy Mason on campus, and her cousin tells her about a rumor that Mason is a rumored gigolo. Reese doesn't believe it at first, but then he kind of confirms it. Then she ends up by being the babysitter, the nighttime sitter, for his little sister Sarah, which she has cerebral palsy. I really love their relationship, Reese and Sarah's relationship. Sarah was the most adorable little girl. Absolutely loved it. It was a slow burn friends to lovers romance because Reese was trying to protect herself from getting hurt because Mason was a gigolo. Unwillingly, he was completely brought into this profession against his will. Then he didn't leave it because he needed the money really bad. And it was so sad, but so good. And I encourage everyone to read it. I'm going to continue on with that series. I already have the next two. I'm excited about the next one because it's like, I'm wondering if the next one's about the cousin, because I didn't really like the cousin in the book. I wanted her to... yeah, I just didn't like her. Then the second 5-star read was technically a 4.5 star, and I usually round those up. It was In Bed with the Devil by Lorraine Heath. I really like this book, and apparently I read this back in 2017. I reread it. I'm counting it as a new read because I remembered nothing about it at all. I don't remember reading this book at all. I love the heroine. She was like a go-getter, and she approaches the hero Lucian because she wants someone killed, and he has a reputation for being a murderer of his uncle, no less. Of course, there's like some really steamy kisses happening during their first meeting. He like mistakes her reason for being in his house very late at night because a lot of the ladies of the ton like to approach him because they want something like bad. They want to be in the bed of the bad boy. So he mistakes her intentions at first and then was like, oh my god, you want me to kill somebody? Like, anyway, he eventually agrees if she teaches his love interest. The woman that he set his sights on to marry is someone that he grew up with. He grew up actually as an orphan. He was really poor. He was with this like band of kids, and they would steal stuff. Like, he was a pickpocket, and he protected this girl his whole life, and it was just natural for him to expect that he would marry her and like continue to protect her. He doesn't really have strong feelings for her, and he like tries to convince himself that he loves her, but there's really no chemistry there. There's that familial brother-sister relationship, and so when the heroine, Catherine, enters his life, she's the opposite of the girl that he thinks he wants to marry. She's outspoken, she's sassy, she like does not back down whenever he's in the wrong. She does her own thing, and I really like their dynamic. It was so much fun, and I highly encourage you to read this book. Now for the 4 stars, Gypsy King by Devney Perry. I've been having this book on my Kindle forever. Our patrons on Patreon voted for this book for our exclusive book review in September, and I read it at the last minute and included it for the Kindle Clear Out Readathon blog because it fit the whole parameters. I've been having this book for over a year, and now I want to continue with the rest of the series. And I hope they're as good as Gypsy King. I really liked it, even though I had a little bit of an issue with the heroine being annoying sometimes. But Dash, the hero, he was amazing. And the way that Devney Perry had him very subtly going from a guy who's like, I'm not cut out for a relationship. I really don't see myself settling down and having a wife and coming home and being all domestic and stuff. Like, I don't see that. But then he gradually ends up by doing that with Bryce. At first it starts with him showing up on her porch with beer And she's like, get off my porch. And then one night she invites him in. And then one night he stays for dinner. And the next night he stays for dinner and cleans up. And it's just like a very gradual progression of him entering into a relationship and he doesn't even know it. And I love that. Absolutely love it. It was amazing. So he didn't even know that he was falling in love until he was already in love. And I'm like, chef's kiss. Love that. The next 4-star read I have is The Bad in Each Other. I almost dropped it down to a 3.5 because the hero was pretty unlikable. He was such a fuckboy. We first meet him and he was screwing the mayor's daughter, who was recently married, and he actually catered her wedding, but like he was too drunk to even recognize that this was the bride. I mean, he doesn't sleep with her at her wedding. It's like a month post her wedding. But like the husband catches her and it's just like this whole drama, and like he cannot stop having these self-destructive tendencies, and he just sleeps with everything that walks. And he and the heroine have a history. They're both in the culinary world, and we don't know exactly what happened, but we do know Birdie ended up with a kid. She doesn't like to talk about the father, and he does not know that she has a baby. So this is a secret baby trope. If you don't like that, then you probably won't like this book. But I really like Tasha Harrison's writing style, and I also like the inclusion of the Gullah culture. Her mom and her sister, actually both of her sisters, kind of use practices similar to voodoo, and I always compare it to voodoo because I'm in Louisiana and that's what we're familiar with, and it's has very similar. It all comes from like the West African cultures. Very common for those elements to be woven into Christianity, Catholicism. We have a lot of that in Louisiana, which is very cool. I won't go into a tangent about that. I can talk about it for a long time. But Birdie loves food. She's been blacklisted by all of the restaurants in her area for being difficult, and we find out how that happened in this book. I don't want to spoil that. It's not like a major spoiler, but she decides to enter into this cooking competition because she wants the money to open her own restaurant. If she wins this cooking competition, she has $50,000. But her baby daddy appears on the scene, and he is one of the judges. He's actually a last minute replacement judge, so of course she didn't know that he was going to be there, and in my opinion, she forgives him a little bit too easily. But I do like their chemistry. I'm a huge fan of foodie romances. For me, cooking is like this love thing. It's my love language. I love cooking for people. It's like my way of showing you that I care about you. It's like, here's this amazing food because I love you so much, and I put my heart and soul into this, and I want you to eat it, and I want you to love it, and I want you to love me. And the way that Saxon and Birdie are in the kitchen together whenever they have their little quiet moments and they're just making dinner together, I could feel it. I could see why they fell in love with each other and why they're a good fit. Then I had an arc of Beauty Tempts the Beast by Lorraine Heath. I really like Lorraine Heath. I really like Beauty and the Beast tropes. This one was a really sweet romance. There wasn't a lot of drama, and the only real conflict was like the heroine, the path that she had chosen to take in order to kind of secure herself for the rest of her life. She was the daughter of a duke. Her family got disgraced, and she didn't want to be a burden on her brothers. After she starts tutoring for the hero, Benedict, who his nickname is Beast, she's tutoring these prostitutes, hopefully trying to give them a chance at a better life, and she decides that, hey, I could become this like amazing courtesan and I would be set for life. And so that's basically the only conflict that we really have, because we know that she's going to end up with Benedict. I need to go read the rest of the books in this series because this is book 6, and since for all seasons, I believe that that's the series name. I need to go read the rest of them because their family just sounds really cool. He was an orphan and his mother took him in. Their last names are True Love. I always get a kick out of that. Just, yeah. Anyway, really liked it. Then I have Oops by Alexandra Warren. This is the first time I ever read an Alexandra Warren book. I really enjoyed it. This was a accidental pregnancy book between the hero, who is this YouTube star, and the heroine who works for his mother. They really don't get along. He's always flirting with her, but she's just like, I don't have time for you. You are kind of a little bit ridiculous. You're very full of yourself, and I don't have time for you in my life. But then one night they slip up and they sleep together. She ends up by being pregnant. There was surprisingly very little drama. I was waiting for like a lot of just drama to happen with like his ex-girlfriend, and none of it really happened. It was really sweet, and I was surprised, and I really did like it. I encourage you to go check her out if you haven't before. And then we have Before I Ever Met You. I rated this one 3.5 stars by Karina Halle. I thought it was going to be a little bit more taboo because it's like, it was marketed as falling in love with my father's best friend. And so there's an age gap, but the age gap really isn't that prominent because she's in her mid-late 20s and he's not the same age as her father at all. I think he's like 10 years younger than her father, more. So it wasn't really that taboo. The only taboo element was that she took a position as the hero's personal assistant, which he really didn't need it. It was more of a favor to a father so that she could get back on her feet. And the hero's really good with her son. So yeah, very sweet romance, but I just felt like there could have been a little bit more. And then we have Eleanor and Gray. Brittainy C. Cherry's becoming one of my favorite authors. She does have quite angsty books, and I would say, at least from the books that I've read, every single Brittainy C. Cherry book should have, or you should expect there to be triggers. She deals with some really heavy and heartbreaking things. Like for Eleanor and Gray, there is the death of a mother due to cancer and death of a spouse due to an accident. One of Gray's daughters was badly injured with the accident, and she struggles with that. I really enjoyed these characters. Seeing them as young kids fall in love while Eleanor is going through her mother's illness and leaning on Gray, someone who she never would have looked twice at. And I really like their initial meeting because she is reading at a party in high school. But today I would totally bring a book to a party. Like, I don't think that, yeah, safe. Kindle is always in my purse, okay? If something's boring, people look at their phones. Why not, you know, prop up my Kindle and read? I can do both too. I can have a conversation plus read. The only reason why I didn't rate it 5 stars is because there was a lot of focus when they were adults on Gray healing, and I wish that he was a little bit more, not over his wife's death, but I feel like he was in such a dark place when we see him again that there wasn't enough time to really see Eleanor and Gray have a relationship. It's mostly Eleanor healing him, and to me that's not relationship, but like this book was so good though. And Eleanor and the kids, I really loved her relationship with the kids. We get a lot of time with Eleanor and the kids. Yeah, there needed to be some more Eleanor and Gray actually, but I still loved it. Brittainy C. Cherry is a genius. I love her writing style. I definitely have to prepare myself when I'm reading one of her books. And now for the 3 stars. The One That Got Away by Karina Halle. I didn't like this book. And I rated it at 3 stars, but I'm thinking about dropping it down to a 2 because I just felt like it just wasn't very structured in a way. I was talking to Mila about like an hour ago on Instagram, and we were just going over the issues that we had with this book, and I'm just like, so many issues. This was marketed as a with the wrong brother trope. She really wasn't with the half brother of the hero for very long. It was very casual. We're just kind of like fuck buddies relationship, and that wasn't the issue. The issue was she was immature whenever they first met. She needed to get some things in order. I didn't like how they met multiple times over the year and there was always something, some reason why they couldn't be together, something that pulled them apart, and I never really liked the excuse, and I definitely didn't like the last one. When we first meet Ruby, she was excited to start building her career as a sports writer. She started off with her blog, and nothing ever really comes of that career throughout the entire book. Like 12 years pass, and it's just like, what are you doing, Ruby? Ruby, what is your job now? And it just kind of like, I felt like Karina Halle just kind of dropped the ball with her character. And what happened? Then we have Luciano. He was super sweet. I felt like he just kind of like accepted what other people were willing to give him and never really expected the best for himself, which really kind of broke my heart. He had a terrible relationship with his stepfather. His stepfather was abusive and horrendous to him. I don't know why he didn't cut him out of his life much earlier. Half-brother wasn't that great. They had a better relationship by the end, but poor Luciano, he was just getting the short end of the stick like every which way you turned. And I was just very unhappy while reading this book. So yeah, I'm probably gonna drop that down to 2.5, 2? I don't know, 2, I'll think on it some more. Then I have Bound to the Battle God. I'm like changing these numbers as I'm looking at them. I'm so sorry. Bound to the Battle God was a very long book. It could have been cut in half. The journey was really fun, but the romance really doesn't start until halfway through. And then by that point, I was a little bit bored with the world. I think it's very interesting. The world that Ruby Dixon created with these gods who are kind of cast out of their heaven. I forgot what their heaven's called. I keep on thinking of like the Thor and the All-Father and like casting out Thor. And they're split into like 4 different aspects of each other. They have to have a human anchor on Earth. I'm really not explaining it very well. But it kind of has like a Game of Thrones feel. There was lots of like tits and drinking and sex everywhere. And it was fine. It was fine. It just wasn't... it just didn't captivate me. The world wasn't like, ooh, I want to stay here. I like the premise of like a god and his anchor. The journey was a little bit boring. Then we have Ties That Tether. This was a debut novel. There was a couple things that didn't work for me. Ollie, you're messing up everything. What are you doing? I'll link the vlog because I go over a couple things, couple problems that I had. Didn't really love the secret baby trope. I don't think it's a spoiler to say. It happened super early on. It didn't create a story where I thought that the hero and the heroine were truly in love. It kind of forced them to be together, and I didn't love that. Toward the beginning of September, I read Blitzed by Alexa Martin, and the whole reason why this book got 3 stars was because the heroine, Bryn, was almost TSTL. There's a conflict where Maxwell warns her against his brother, saying, hey, he is not a good guy. He's here looking for me, and you should never be alone in a room with him. A little bit later, Bryn hears this, and she sees this girl, Eloise, who has been flirting with Maxwell, and is like, Eloise, oh, this is Maxwell's brother. Y'all should go out. And she's like, oh, he's hot. Yeah, I definitely will. Like, he's free. He's not taken like Maxwell is. And I'm just like, are you really foisting this girl on a man who you have been told is dangerous and you should never be alone in a room with him? What are you doing? What are you doing, Bryn? Eloise and the brother appear at a restaurant with Maxwell and Bryn while they are having dinner, and you see the tension, and Bryn's just like, oh, like they seem like they don't like each other. I'm like, I don't know, you think, Bryn, you think he just said he's dangerous. Toward the end, the brother tells Bryn some things about Maxwell, and she immediately believes him. And she's like, oh, I can't believe that that's who I've truly been with. And I'm just like, you've had the entire book to get to know Maxwell. Do you really think he did these things that the brother that you've known 0.5 seconds says he did? I want to rate this book lower now. I'm just so frustrated. Then we have Good Gone Bad. MC romance, not my favorite. Dark romance, age gap kind of thing. I thought it was going to be more of like an opposites attract, where the heroine, who's described as like the biker princess or the MC princess, her father is the president of the local MC club, and the cop. But the cop pretty much acts and talks and behaves, and he's so alpha. He fits in with the MC culture like a glove. I guess it's on me for expecting like an opposites attract, but it just seemed that way. You know, biker princess, cop, opposite sides of the law. Didn't feel that way at all. He felt like he was breaking all kind of laws. There's BDSM in this book too. It's fun. Now for my 2 stars. First of all, I need to talk about Whitney, My Love, because I was very disappointed with this book. Everyone said that this book was so good, and I guess I was so optimistic. I know that reading older books, you run the risk of, come on, he's so sad and needy. I think he's gonna lay down while I review the rest of the books. So, Whitney, My Love, I know you run the risk of running into some problematic content for books that were published during a certain time period. I was just kind of spoiled because I've been reading Julie Garwood, and so I was expecting something amazing. And I'd also read A Kingdom of Dreams by Judith McNaught, and so I was like having these high expectations. I did not like the enemies to lovers aspect of this romance. I felt like they were terrible to each other, like both the hero and the heroine. They did some terrible things to each other, and it persisted the entire book. Up to the very end. You think you got past all the bad parts and finally they're trusting each other, and then at the very end it's like, oh my god, again, it's happening again for like the millionth time. Can I help you? I don't know. And then we have One to Watch. Did not like One to Watch. It was marketed as a romance, which is a huge reason why I knocked it down all the way to 2 stars. I like the format and the style, the inclusion of like podcasts and blogs and, you know, the episodes. But when you market this as like a body positive heroine being a plus size bachelorette on a show, and she's, you know, a role model for young girls, and then you get a hot mess The romance is very secondary. She's kind of half in love or in lust with like 2 other guys the whole time. Someone from her past and this perfect on paper guy who says all the right things, and he's French and she loves France and French things, and sad. And I have a whole rage review on that one, so I won't talk about it anymore. And then From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Armentrout. I also talked about this in a vlog, so I won't spend a ton of time on this because I know this is going to be a longer video if I continue to talk about it, but I just didn't love that it took so long for things to get going. And it wasn't because the author was taking her time with world building. There wasn't that much world building because she was saving a lot of the aspects of the world to be revealed toward the end for a reason, which I won't spoil. And I didn't love it. I didn't connect with the heroine, and I stupidly bought the second book before I even read the first one, so now I have the second one and I'm never gonna read the second one. Yeah, okay, so now I've depressed you with that ending to this vlog. Maybe we won't do favorites to non-favorites. I need to have like some happy ones toward the end. Sorry, I'm like patting him like a baby. He's just like, he'll want attention if I quit doing it. Alright guys, that is it for the books that I read in September. I'm actually on a roll because of the Kindle Clear Out readathon, and there is going to be another readathon for the end of this month. It's a paranormal readathon. I'm so excited about that. I'm going to do my TBR for this readathon very soon. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and you'll be notified on any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with a little HEA. Bye guys.